Are you ready, kids?
Are you fucking ready?
I can't hear you. Fuck yeah. Get that pig going. Let's like headbang into this.
Bum, bum, bum.
Alright.
Welcome, everyone, to the Hecate's Doorway podcast.
Welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed part one of this two-parter.
Yeah, I hope so. It was pretty interesting, I guess is the best way we can describe these kinds of things.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good to say they're enjoyable. Alright, so yeah, part 2 of Tutius Bundius.
Tutius?
Theodore Bundega. Do you think he adopted the middle name of Culpepper?
That'd be so funny if he did.
Ted Culpepper Bundy? I fucking hope so.
I wouldn't be able to take him seriously at that name.
I can't take him seriously anyway.
Yeah, true.
The Entity. Ooh, better watch out. The Entity's gonna get you.
Oh, no.
Alright, so where we last left off, it was the summer of 1974, and Washington State was on high alert as young women were going missing one after the other, and tales of a strange, handsome man driving around in a VW Bug, asking for help, circled throughout the community. As the ensuing panic made everyone more on edge, this proved to be an obstacle for Ted's murder spree, which brought him to a beach on July 14th in the middle of the day to try his hand at a daytime abduction. At Lake Sammamish, 12 miles east of Seattle, a crowd of over 40,000 gathered to go about the usual summertime activities. Ted walked around with his arm in a sling, asking women to help fix his sailboat to his car, which at first they would kindly agree to, but when Ted would reveal the boat was actually at his parents' place, they would smartly decline. But unfortunately, Ted's ruse worked on Janice Ott, taking advantage of someone kind enough and trusting enough to go with a total stranger in need. Ted took her to an abandoned house where he would torture her for hours. He tied her up and left her alive as he left the house. And this just kind of brings up one of the things that pisses me off the most about Ted Bundy is his victims seem to be probably like the nicest fucking people.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine how nice and trusting someone is to, like, not only helping a total stranger, but going to a second location, which you should never do.
Never do that, ladies and gentlemen, and anything in between.
And he just takes advantage of them. Like, this is so fucked up. Fucking just horrible.
Very, very horrible.
Yeah. Not that like, you know, not that it makes their deaths any more impactful than, you know, like any other serial killer's victims, but it's just the way he goes about it.
He had a type, and he abused the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Ted came back to the house around 5 p.m. with another woman, Denise Nuslin, just as ready to help someone in need as Janice, and did just the same to her. Ted strangled both women to death and dumped the bodies in Lake Sammamish State Park.
2 different people. And this is why you never go to a second location.
Yep.
If you're
never go.
No. If someone asks you for help, or if you're meeting someone and they're like, actually, the thing that I need is over here. Check, please.
Yep.
Just nope out of there.
It ain't gonna end well for you.
I don't think it ever does. I don't think there's ever been a time where this ended well.
Nah. By this point, police were at a bit of a loss, seeing as how these 2 disappearances took place during the day. And even though, for whatever reason, Ted would give his real name to the woman he would attempt to abduct, they didn't have a face to the name, though. Ted had a certain way to almost change his face when interacting with different people. So nearly every sketch made from survivors' testimony seemed to depict vastly different people. Though the various sketches of the Sammamish beach killer named Ted resembled Ted enough that everyone he knew would tease him about his killer named Ted who drove the same car and nearly looked like him. Really? No one put 2 and 2 together?
No!
Really?
That's either how stupid these people were, or how much he had them wrapped around his finger. They're like, gee, Ted, this guy who is named Ted who drives the same car as you, who looks almost exactly like you, is killing people. I don't know. That's crazy, huh?
Weird, huh?
Well,
I don't know.
That's really weird.
Very weird.
It's a little weird. People are just like, you're the killer, aren't you? And no one's like, are you the
shit?
Yeah, no one. Everyone's just like, I couldn't be Ted. Couldn't be Ted.
Couldn't be.
Look at it. Is his arm in a sling? He couldn't just put his arm in a sling.
I mean,
he couldn't just wear a fake mustache and part his hair differently. Nah. Who would do that?
But they were all just that, jokes. As everyone who knew Ted didn't seem to believe for a second that he could ever be a killer. God. Boy, were they wrong.
You thought? God, I know. That's one of the most frustrating things about this whole thing. It was around this time that Ted received an offer to attend the University of Utah Law School in Salt Lake City, just as some leads were starting to form in Seattle. He promised Elizabeth he'd be back, but it seemed this may be around the time her idea of Ted may have wavered a little. But as we stated last episode, it wouldn't falter till much, much later. She seemed to find some of the items he'd keep with him a little odd, like plaster casts, crutches, a fake mustache, and a meat cleaver he'd always keep in a leather case. Even with the odd objects aside, his behavior since his killing spree began started to worry Elizabeth as well. He'd leave home in the middle of the night without telling her anything about where he was going or what he was doing. Then there was the book, The Joy of Sex, he bought for her as an excuse to have dangerously rough sex with her, including near-death choke play.
Oh.
As well as waking up on several occasions to find Ted under the blankets with a flashlight studying her body. Though it wouldn't be until after Ted was placed behind bars that she'd cease ignoring the red flags.
Oh, yeah.
God, I just...
Hasn't you start.
I don't want to, victim blame or anything, but lady...
At a certain point.
At a certain fucking point, your man's just coming and going. He's got all this weird shit, including shit that the killer that's walking around has all the time. And he's just imagine waking up in the middle of the night and your man's just got a flashlight, just like...
That'd be a no for me.
You're like...
That'd be a big red no for me.
We're either going to therapy right now or this is fucking over.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. That just reminds me of the thing we said last episode where he was 3 and his aunt woke up to him staring at her with the knives he put under the blanket. It's literally that. That's kind of a thing that I've noticed with a lot of these people. Is serial killers don't seem to grow out of their childhood mental state. They all act like kids, basically. Dangerously evil kids.
Once he arrived in Salt Lake City, Ted began stalking and peeping immediately. Damn, he didn't waste a second.
Nope, he did not waste a fucking second.
Once accounts by a woman named Teresa written to Anne Rule recounted of a man stalking about the home she shared with some friends around the time Ted would have first arrived.
This one's crazy.
She got a good look at the face through the window as he crouched behind a bush. Though the sketch seemed to be of a slightly disguised Ted, like all the others, he would eventually leave them alone, but not without leaving the farewell gift of a pile of shit under the window they'd seen him through. That's so fucking weird. Why?
Serial killers have a thing with shit. Because remember...
they really do.
Richard Chase, how he both shat in the baby's crib, and then he took dog shit from out the window and put it in the stomach of the first woman he murdered. And even the Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, she was either made to eat shit, or the guy whoever killed her put shit in her stomach.
Yep.
I think it's just the degradation.
Something about that.
But yeah, you just before I go, I better fucking take a shit right here.
Oh, man.
Jesus fucking Christ.
After Ted was caught and his face plastered all over, Teresa would see it and be absolutely positive Ted was the man stalking them in their home.
God, I feel so bad for this. I mean, that's gotta be terrifying. Imagine you're just watching the news, and it's like, Ted Bundy arrested for, all this murder. Like, that's the motherfucker who was looking at me through my fucking window. Ooh. You were that close to dying.
Yep. On October 2nd, Ted would take his first victim in Utah, Nancy Wilcox. She was last seen in the city of Holiday. Holiday.
Yeah.
Ted claimed he'd buried her body at the Capitol Reef National Park, but she was never found. He would take 4 more victims throughout October going into November. On October 18th, Melissa Ann Smith was the last seen in Midvale, and her body was found 9 days later on a hillside at Summit Peak, Park. October 31st, Laura Ann Annie, was last seen in Lehigh, and her body was found by hikers on American Fork Canyon. November 8th, Deborah Jean Kent was abducted after leaving a school play. Her remains weren't discovered until 2015 when skeletal remains were positively identified. Nancy was 16, Melissa, Lauren, and Deborah was 17. Ted would admit to playing with her hair and applying makeup to 2 of these victims after death, saying, "If you got the time, then you can do anything you want to them."
That quote is disgusting.
Yep.
If you got the time, they can be anything you want them to be. Ted, you should have been shot in the head when you were 8.
Yep.
Sucks his grandpa liked him, because he could have easily just yeeted Ted down the stairs and snapped his neck.
Yep.
We wouldn't be talking about this sack of dog shit.
Nah.
On November 8th, before Ted abducted Deborah, he had attempted to abduct Carol Duranch. Instead of pretending to be injured, he slapped on a fake mustache and pretended to be a cop, taking Carol into his VW. But as she noticed they were going in the opposite direction of the police station, she attempted to open the door to escape. Ted put a pair of handcuffs on her and pulled a gun out, but she fought back and was able to open the door, kicked him in the groin, and jumped out of the car. Later that night, as he abducted Deborah Kent, in his case to get her in his car, he dropped the key to the handcuffs he'd used on Carol in the school's parking lot. Witnesses also saw his distinctive bug drive away from the scene. Good for her. Fucking fighting back and getting out of that.
Oh, fucker. Yeah, definitely. She was smart. She did a good job.
Mm-hmm. This man should really not be driving his fucking bug around everywhere.
No, especially since they're really noticeable.
I feel like they're probably one of the most noticeable cars. I mean, maybe not in the 70s, but I don't know. They're so distinctive.
Yeah.
But, contrary to what all of those fucking documentaries will always try to say, serial killers are not evil geniuses. They're all fucking idiots.
Yep, they really are.
I hate every time I watch a documentary and they're just talking about them as they're some kind of genius or they're invisible. And it's like, bro, they're fucking dumbasses. Honestly, half the reason these guys don't get caught is I blame it on the cops half the time.
Yeah.
Especially when it's sex workers that are the victims, because we can't say this enough. They don't give a shit. In this case, I think it's just because, like we said in the beginning, serial killers weren't really a thing that people thought existed at the time.
Yeah. So
every time one of these girls are abducted, they would look into people they know. And I mean, they're not wrong, because the statistics are something 80 to 90% of all deaths and abductions are done by people the victim knows.
Oh, yeah.
But still, Lynn Banks was a close friend of Elizabeth Klopfer's, and seemingly the only person who wasn't won over by Ted. Lynn was in Utah at the time visiting family and immediately noticed both how similar police sketches of the killer in Utah matched the sketches in Washington, as well as how similar the victims in both states looked. She tried her best to convince people in Utah and Washington that these were not only the same guy, but that guy in question was in fact Ted Bundy. But not only given the idea everyone had of Ted, but also the fact that the idea of a serial killer was such a rarity in the minds of the public and law enforcement, it wasn't until authorities from the 2 states spoke during a crime conference that a connection was first thought to be possible. Good on this lady. Like, can we give her a round of applause for being apparently the only person who's like, that looks like Ted. This guy looks like Ted.
They drive the same vehicle.
They drive Ted. The victims all look the same. Guys, this is fucking Ted Bundy. Shut up, Lynn.
Fuck you, Mike.
Fuck you, Mike. This is obviously Ted. Good on you. Smart fuck. I mean, it's a low bar, but smart fucking lady. Like, Jesus Christ. I can't believe she's like the only person who's like, guys, that's fucking Ted. That's literally Ted. He drives the same fucking car. Like, fucking hell. But no, good on her. Everyone give her a round of applause right now. I don't care where you're listening.
Yep.
This lady fucking deserves it. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, also imagine that it's not until, like, the two of them are together at, like, some kind of, I don't know what kind of crime conference it was. But they're just like, man, look at these weird killings. Oh yeah, we got these too. Oh, you think they're the same guy?
Probably. I don't know. Are they?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's a slim chance.
So that takes us to Ted's first arrest. Yes, first. I know, right?
Yeah, I think there's like 3.
Oh, of course there's 3. Why would there ever be no more than 1?
At least it's not as, I mean, it's almost as stupid, but at least it's not as stupid as the cop who's like, oh, you look like the guy that I just heard on the radio to Richard Ramirez. And he's just like, oh, it's not you.
On August 16th, 1975, he was pulled over for reckless driving in a neighborhood in Utah. The officer asked what he was up to which Ted responded. He'd seen a screening of the Towering Inferno at a drive-in and got lost. But there hadn't been a screening of that movie in any drive-in that night. Knowing that the officer asked him to step out of the vehicle so he could search it, in the trunk the officer found a bag containing a ski mask, wire, and an ice pick, rope, handcuffs, and a tire iron.
That's a little suspicious.
Any one of those things isn't suspicious, but all put together. Yes, they're calling call of a serial killer.
That's, yikes.
The officer found a few more things like a flashlight, gloves, and a stitched-together pantyhose mask. So Ted was booked on both reckless driving charges and a possession of burglary tools. Well, not what I was hoping for, but...
I know, yeah, he wasn't caught red-handed murdering, but...
It's only the first, though.
If from here on, it just gets fucking insane.
Once in custody, authorities were able to link Ted to the attempted kidnapping of Carol Ran Roach and charge with aggravated kidnapping.
Duranch.
Oh, you bitch.
Ran wrong. Carol Ram Ranch. No, it should be Carol Duranch. I don't know how I typed Ranch.
With this new picture printed for law enforcement, the officer who'd taken the call from Lynn about a friend's boyfriend who she believed was both Utah's and Seattle killer remembered her and brought Elizabeth in for questioning about Ted. She would go on to tell authorities about the odd things she'd experienced him doing throughout their time together. But the nail in the coffin came when she announced she'd done her own detective work after Lynn brought her concerns up and found out that Ted was completely unaccounted for during the time frame of all the missing girls' disappearance in Seattle since 1974. Someone smart. Fucking hell.
Can we just give another round of applause to Lynn here for making Elizabeth go, maybe Ted is kind of sketchy.
You know? Yeah, that boyfriend of hers. Yeah. Yeah, checks out.
Checks out. Your boyfriend's a fucking murderer. Finally, something's piecing together. While they worked on putting a case together for the missing girls in Utah, something from Colorado came up. It seemed Ted made a trip up to Aspen for a little skiing earlier that year. There, he would kidnap a woman named Karen Campbell while she stayed at a hotel with her fiancé and his children. Ted found her coming back to her room alone, faked chest pains to get her into his own room, and knocked her unconscious. There was no witnesses to him loading her body into his car, but a single hair was found in it during a thorough search which linked him back to her. Motherfucker's gotta go skiing.
Yo, he has to go skiing. He always has to go skiing.
Alright, fucking Amber Heard's lawyer.
Shh. You don't talk about that here. Kitty could be listening.
First, he had to deal with the aggravated kidnap charge in Utah. Ted would represent himself, thinking his year stint in law school and the overconfidence of a serial killer would be enough to get him out of this. And got himself 15 years.
Jesus. 15.
A bit of an overshot there, Ted.
Very, very bad overshots.
After that, the court case for the murder charge in Colorado was up next, to which Ted, yet again, was his own lawyer. On the day the prosecution was to decide if they were shooting for the death penalty, Ted requested some time alone in the library for some last-minute cramming. Acting as his own lawyer gave him unlimited access to the county law library, and as he sat alone by an open window, he leapt out the window to get lost in the crowd outside the courthouse.
Of course. Why would they even leave him alone in the first place?
'Cause he was his own lawyer. That's just... I don't know. I assume that's just the fucking magic of Ted, where he's just like, I'm a good guy. I wouldn't try to run away. I'm innocent. And
everyone got charged.
I know.
He got 15 years.
This is the guy to where the judge at the last fucking case would be like, it's too bad you were a murderer because you're a great judge. I wish I could have had you on my team.
No.
This man murdered women and you're just like complimenting him on being a fucking lawyer.
He's a shit lawyer.
He was a shit lawyer. He got himself 15 years. For one, he's got like 3 court cases to do.
Jesus.
But yeah, he escaped jail. He jokered himself out of Arkham.
Of course he did. Ted was barely a few steps ahead of the police, using the knowledge of the area he acquired while acting as his own attorney to hide out and take what he could from unoccupied homes and hide out in the wilderness. All while Aspen was both gripped by fear and excitement as Ted wandered free. And Rule would go on to tell how quickly things like souvenirs, Ted Bundy shirts went up while he was on the run. And by about a week into Ted's escape, staying out in the wilderness, he decided it was now or never. He stole a car to drive out to freedom with, but being outside with little to no food for a week left him too weak to control his car, and was almost immediately pulled over on suspicion of drunk driving and hauled back to county jail right away. Hopefully they won't leave him alone this time.
Well,
damn it.
Yeah, about that,
Motherfuckers, they learned a lesson. The first time.
You need to learn a lesson.
But Ted would break out yet again, and this time he would leave Colorado for good. After studying the habits of the jailers, he was able to cut the hole in his cell ceiling using a hacksaw, smuggled in by someone he would never go on to name. The prep for this escape, he would skip breakfast every day to both lose enough weight to squeeze through the hole he was creating, as well as give him a bigger window of time as the guards would begin to only come in later in the day.
Now he's plotting his Alcatraz escape. In the span of 2 weeks before he would actually escape, he would go in and out through the escape hole again and again. He would crawl around, scoping out the best escape route, which he found in the jailer's apartment. On the night of his escape, he waited in the ceiling of the jailer's apartment, listening to the jailer and his wife, until he heard them leave the apartment. He dropped into the apartment through the closet, walked out the front door, and stole a car. But as he drove, the 1.5 feet of snow that had fallen earlier that day proved too much, and in a split-second decision, he flagged down a motorist, saying his wife was going into labor in Denver. The driver took him to the bus station, where he used the credit card he'd been giving to make long-distance calls for himself to buy a bus ticket to Denver, and from there, he took a cab to the airport to take a flight to Chicago. 17 hours had gone by between his escape and the jailers checking his cell, and by that point, he was already in Chicago.
You dumb motherfuckers.
This motherfucker.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm almost speechless.
Dude, incompetence. He escaped twice.
Yeah, you shouldn't leave someone in their cell someone who escaped should be on like a constant watch.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have a 17 fucking hour window of no surveillance.
No kidding.
17 fucking hours. That's almost longer than most people are awake during the day. Like, just imagine that. It's like a whole day.
Yep.
To fucking escape.
And he did it.
And he did it. And he got a plane out of the fucking state.
You think he'd be on a no-fly list?
No. I don't think things like that existed yet.
No?
Because, I mean, I think I don't know the exact date, but I know it took a long time before things going like statewide or like countrywide, I mean, would really happen. Like, I think this is still around the time where like things that happened in state stayed in state unless they were like gigantic things.
Yeah.
So like a murder, no one outside of the state would know. And I guess just no one really pictured, because I mean he was still going on trial for the murder in Aspen. Like, he was in Aspen right now during that one. So the trial was like just starting. And I mean, we've already seen that he has some weird fucking master of disguise shit where he could just go in as a whole different person.
With this escape, Ted decided it was time for a fresh start. No more murdering and whatnot. This was a new Ted. Sure, Ted. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
So Ted decided he would pack his bags and headed to the college town of Tallahassee, Florida. He arrived in Florida under his new name, Kenneth Meisner. Oh, Meisner?
I think so.
Probably. He figured as long as he went by a new name and kept a low profile, he could live out the rest of his life in Florida. But as we all should know, that was not the case.
No.
Not at all.
No. It's only about to get to one of the worst things he's ever done.
He would wander around Tallahassee, drinking in bars with the thought that the next day he would find a job to start his new life out on. But soon the old Ted crept through. He began to steal small things. The small things became wallets and cars, and with that, theft came stalking and creep and peeping. Soon he had simply become the same old Ted Bundy in a new place with a new name. And that takes us to January 14th, 1978, when Ted would make his way to Chi Omega House.
Ted was drinking at a bar right across from the sorority house when he ran into some of the girls from the home. He asked one to dance with him, and though she did at first, something about Ted gave her bad vibes and she quickly dipped out. And at some point after 2 a.m. that night, Ted broke into the sorority house. With a log he'd grabbed from outside, he attacked the 4 girls in the house, Lisa Levy, Margaret Bowman, Karen Chandler, and Kathy Kleiner. He brutally bludgeoned all 4. Lisa and Margaret would succumb to their injuries. Karen and Kathy would live, but would forever be scarred by the attack, physically and mentally. While attacking Lisa, he would bite her so hard that he left a clear bite mark in her, something that would seal his fate if he hadn't yet already.
Teeth forensics.
That one is so mad. Like,
yeah.
The girls that lived, like, they were just fucked up. Like,
yeah.
Teeth knocked out, jaws dislocated, skulls caved in, like, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
He just grabbed a log and just
beat them. Beat 2 of them to death and the other 2 almost to death.
This man, he should have died a long fucking time ago. After the Chi Omega house, Ted would find another victim 8 blocks away. He broke into Cheryl Thomas's house and beat her like the others. She survived, but the attack gave her permanent loss of equilibrium, ruining her dreams of becoming a ballerina. After these attacks, Ted would stick around the area for whatever reason, going back to theft and stalking. He just had to get that one last kill out of his system.
Yep.
Piece of shit. And then he didn't even fucking leave. Like, he knows he's on the run, and he does something like that, and he's just like, nah, I can still stay here.
Yeah. Well, I can get away with this. No, you can't.
He thinks he can.
Too bad he didn't. If only he'd been caught sooner, though.
Unlike Casey Anthony.
Yep.
We're definitely going to cover that soon.
Yay.
Yay!
Then on February 9th, Ted drove to
Yeah, I think it's just called Lake City, not to be confused with Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I was like, wait
There's
a
no
second.
salt in this lake.
Then on February 9th, 9th, Ted drove to Lake City where he abducted 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. Oh, man. He pulled her into a stolen van from outside her school and drove her to an abandoned pig shed where he stabbed her to death. A complete shift from his victim type and MO. And on February 12th, he packed up what he had into a stolen VW Bug and set off only so he wouldn't have to pay his landlord.
Yeah, that's the only reason he left.
Of course.
That one's just like so fucked up. Like, why did he kill the kid?
I don't fucking know. Maybe get one last.
But he stabbed her too. Like, he's never stabbed anyone before, which is really. But that's not what's important.
Maybe he thought that might throw the officers off his trail.
Yeah, this dumb piece of shit.
If he killed someone like that, maybe they thought, oh, it's a different killer now.
Imagine killing a 12-year-old girl just to throw cops off your trail. What a fucking piece of shit.
Ugh. Yeah.
I'm so glad he fucking fried.
2 days later, an officer saw Ted in his car parked outside a restaurant that had been closed for hours. When he ran the plates, they came back stolen, and when he turned his lights on, Ted floored it out of the parking lot. After about a mile-long chase, Ted pulled over. The officer approached his car, pulled him out, got one handcuffed before Ted kicked him in the leg and took off. But the officer caught up with him and wrestled him to the ground. Though Ted almost got his gun, the officer overpowered him, got the other's cuff on, and for one final time, Ted Bundy was arrested.
For one final time. Thank fuck.
Funny they did it. Funny they did it. It was the fucking things were done right the first time.
I know, if only they didn't leave him alone in the fucking library.
Yeah.
Once again, on trail for the Kyle Mega murders, Ted represented himself in court. Because that went so well the first 2 times.
Oh, man.
He had a chance to take a plea deal and spare himself the death penalty, but somehow he seemed to think he could get himself out of this one and waived it. Ted's court case was one of the first to be broadcast across the country, and at first it seemed Ted was anything but a mass murderer. He came across intelligent, collected, and innocent, but that all seemed to change once the murders themselves became the main focus. He called one of the first responders to the murder scene to the stand, only to ask him to recount the murders, the wounds, the positions they'd been found in. After all the disgusting details had been spoken, Ted released the witness with no further questions, baffling nearly everyone in court and watching at home. That's what sealed him.
Yep.
Is he calls the guy up and he's just like, so how was she killed? How many times was she beaten? What was the condition of her skull? How was she found? And he's just like taking it all in, and he's like, no further questions. And everyone's like, I'm sorry, what? You're not gonna dispute any of this?
They're gonna try and fight it? Nope.
Just like, I don't know if he was just like knew that he was sunk in and he just wanted to get a rise one more time, or if he wasn't even thinking, he's just like, I gotta hear it, I gotta hear it, I gotta hear it.
Probably.
But yeah, that's what everyone's like, okay, never mind. This guy is crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, this is also one of the first trials to ever be broadcast. Like, trials were never like broadcasted before, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have kind of this to thank for everyone watching the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. It started the whole thing, I guess. He should have told everyone that his dog stepped on a bee. Maybe that would have got him out of it. The trial went on for 7 hours before the verdict came back unanimously guilty. He would continue to maintain innocence throughout the entire trial. For the murders he committed in Florida, he received death. And then a year later, he went through the same song and dance for the murder of Kimberly Leach. And as he got the guilty verdict and was sentenced to the electric chair, and the jury began to leave, Ted would stand to loudly proclaim, I just want to tell the jury that they're wrong!
Yeah. Yeah, that makes you look like a big man, huh?
He's so pissed. He's like, no, they're fucking wrong. I'm innocent. I'm not crazy. I didn't kill anyone.
Nope.
I think they got it right there, Ted.
Yep, they got it right there.
Yeah, and this is the case where the judge is like sucking Ted's dick.
Of course.
I just want to talk about how much I fucking hate that judge. Like, just imagine you're being the judge for a guy who killed a 12-year-old girl and probably fucking molested her. I don't put it past that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, too bad you did that, because, man, you would have been a great fucking lawyer. Like, bro, go kill yourself.
He would have not been a great
No, he wouldn't have. He just stood up there, was like, how many times was she beaten? No further questions. Like, what? Ted, you can't even be a lawyer for your fucking self.
I know.
And then just a scream, and the jury's wrong. Tell them they're wrong. Like, he's losing it.
Yep. Ted tried to appeal again and again. Tried to help catch the Green River Killer and blame his killings on everything from porn to violent movies. But after 11 years, he would meet his end in the electric chair as a crowd of hundreds celebrated outside as his life was finally snuffed out. And so ended the absolutely fucked up, gruesome story of Ted Bundy.
Yeah, I love that there was literally like a festival going on outside as he was being executed.
Oh, that must have been one hell of a sight for him.
Yeah, I don't think he got to see it. I wish he did, though. But I think there was also people there who were like against it because there were still people to the end who thought he was innocent.
Of course there were.
I don't know.
There's all people like that.
Yeah, I guess it does kind of connect to the whole Amber Heard thing. There's still people who think that she's in the right.
Yep. Even when there's plenty of evidence, plenty of testimonies and whatnot that prove that they were guilty, those people like, nah, that's deep. That's deep fake. That's some bullshit.
That's deep. That's in life deep fake. IRL deep fake.
Yep.
Even as he's nutting in his pants as the officer tells him about the bodies he found. No, he's innocent, dude.
He's innocent, I swear.
God.
Nah.
Yeah, so ends that piece of fucking shit. Good
Thankfully.
fucking riddance. Jesus Christ, dude.
And yeah,
that's Ted Bundy. And that's probably going to be our last serial killer for maybe about a month or so.
Yeah. We'll focus on some more dark history and dark stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we got a couple different unsolved mysteries. We got we got some regular history, or I guess dark history, whatever you want to call it. Some good stuff in the works.
I'm planning on doing one about the Zoot Suit riots. There's a song about that, actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Cherry Daddies. That's what they're called.
Change your name right now.
Well, I think most of them are dead, so I don't think they can.
Good.
Oh, it's the Cherry Popping Daddies.
That's not any better. That's almost worse. Electric chair now. Whoever came up with that name.
This is back during the really high, jazz days.
Cherry Poppin' Daddies? Bruh. That's disgusting.
Yeah, back in the 1940s.
Jesus.
During the World War II.
Jesus Christ. I assume it still means the same thing. Which...
Probably, yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, God. Okay, well, fuck me. Thank you. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you all for sticking around for part 2. Yeah.
I hope you liked it. You fucking better liked it.
Let's see. We talked about what we had planned out. We talked about our sources, or did we not?
Oh, no, we didn't.
No? Okay, well, might as well do it now.
Yeah, might as well do it now. So, I tried to get The Stranger Beside Me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't fucking find it anywhere.
No?
No. It was just like the one I tried to get on Richard Chase, where it was like I could get it off Amazon for like $50.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That one should be more available, but it wasn't.
That sucks.
But I was able to use a bunch of online sources, but the main source, just like the last 2 serial killers, was the last book on the left.
Nice.
But I mean, they do great research, and they used all the sources that I wanted for my main source, so it still kind of plays out.
That's good.
So yeah, check that shit out.
Alright.
Make sure to follow us.
Yep.
Make sure to fucking rate us.
Give us any stars. At this point, yeah, any stars.
Give us any stars, or I will send the red cape after you.
No, not the red cape.
And the best outcome to that is gonna fucking tongue your asshole. That's the best outcome.
No. Stop it. Some people might like that, actually.
That's when he just pulls out a knife and...
Alright.
Thank you, everyone. Hail Satan.
Blessed be. Have a great night.